Hello everyone. In this session, let me continue the theorems on measurable functions. So, before starting with the session, let me tell you one thing. In most of the previous year question paper, they have merged the first unit and second unit concepts. So, I am doing first unit together with the second unit. Totally you have 4 units, right? Already first unit is completed. I forgot to tell you. So, both the units I am doing together. So, we have come to last concepts of the second unit. It is a measurable function. I have already given a syllabus copy. If you have any doubts, you go through the syllabus copy and the question papers, then you will understand in which type questions will be asked in the examination. Anyhow, let me continue with the class. Here is a theorem. If f from e to r is a function where e is measurable set, the function f is measurable on e. Meaning is, here the set E, whatever is considered, is measurable set, and f is a measurable on this particular measurable set E. If and only if for any open set G in R, if you are going to consider any open set G in a real number R, then f inverse of G is measurable. In the sense, inverse of a function is what we have proved in the previous session is a function is measurable. Now we are going to prove that inverse of a function is also measurable. So before getting to the theorem, I just want to revise the concept that what you have already learnt in the previous session, right? So you just remember this concept. Suppose if you have a function like x belongs to E, and if f of x belongs to any open interval, say AB. So I have already used this concept, but I hope you remember this. So if any value or a variable belongs to E such that f of x is equal to AB. If we have a function like this, I can rewrite this function as f inverse of AB. Why? Because as f of x belongs to AP, I can express x as f inverse of AB. Fine. So you just remember that. Now coming to the proof of the given statement. What is the statement given? We have to prove that f inverse of G is measurable. Fine. Suppose let me prove. Suppose that f is measurable. What is the given thing? I am writing just whatever the given. Let me write given f is measurable. Fine. And whatever the further is given, G is any open set in R. G is open set in R. I have written just whatever the given data in the given theorem. Now, as I already told you a number of times while explaining the outer measure properties, since G is any open set in a real number R, remember let me take a general concept. Suppose if A is any open set in R, that is A belongs to R, or I can say A is any one of the open set in R, then as per the first property, I can express A as union of all the open intervals. This is the theorem. I have already proved it, right? So I can express open set as union of all the open intervals. So as per that, I can write the open set G as union of all the open intervals In. Fine. Where In is open interval An, Bn. Clear? What I have done is G is open set in R. So as per the theorem, if you have any open set in R, I can express that as union of all the open interval. So I have considered the open interval In as An, Bn, and have expressed G as union of all the open intervals In. Clear? Now let me consider f inverse of G. So f inverse of G will be f inverse of, I'll replace G with union n is equal to 1 to infinity In. So I can take f inside. I can rewrite this as, without changing summation, union, I can take f inside as per the property of function, measurable function, it become f inverse of In. Clear? Further, f inverse of G can be taken as, say, function. Why? Because G is expressed as union of all the intervals, right? So f inverse of G can be expressed as union of all those elements of x in E such that f of x belongs to In. This is what the meaning is. See here, as f inverse of G can be expressed as union of f inverse of all the open intervals. So just now I have told you, when you have f inverse, when you have a set like this, function like this, x belongs to E, f of x belongs to AB. When you have function like this, I can write f inverse of AB. It is just a reverse. See here, when you have, see here, in place of AB, suppose if you have f inverse of In. So only thing you have to write is f of x is belonging to In. right? So that is what I have written. This is the standard format. I can write this as F inverse of AB. By using this standard format, I can write the same as something like this. Clear? So that is why I have told you at the beginning itself. Fine. Since f of x belongs to In, wherever, however, In is defined as an comma bn. That is open interval an comma bn. Meaning is f of x will be in between an and bn. Right? Why? Because In is an bn and f of x is an element or a function in In. Right? So I can write this as union n is equal to 1 to infinity x belongs to E such that this f of x will be in between an and bn. Why? Because f of x belongs to In, further In is an and bn. Right? I can rewrite the same as union n is equal to 1 to infinity x belongs to E f of x. I am going to split this. Right? F of x greater than an intersection x belongs to E such that f of x less than bn. So what I have done is I have written a single statement. In the next step, I am going to split this function into two inequations. So first inequation I have written here and second inequation I have written here with intersection. Clear? Now I can say this as n is equal to 1 to infinity. This is clearly intersection of two measurable sets, right? Why? Because in the problem itself it is given f is measurable. Right? So here in the theorem itself it is given f is measurable. What we have expressed as f inverse of g as union of all the measurable functions, or else I can say it is an intersection of this is also measurable f, this is also measurable f, it contains f. So both are intersection of, I can write this as intersection of measurable functions. Fine. So I have already told you I have already proved the theorem that intersection of measurable set is a measurable. By that theorem I can say intersection of measurable set is, I can simply write this as measurable set. Measurable set. What I have expressed as f inverse of g as union n is equal to union of all the measurable set I have expressed. Clear? Next I can write the same as, since I have already proved the theorem, union of all the or collection of all the measurable set is countable union of measurable sets, I can say. Or simply, since it contains union of measurable set, I can say f inverse of g is simply a measurable set. Meaning is, when f inverse of g is expressed as union of all the measurable set, obviously it will be measurable set, right? So I can say f inverse of g is measurable set. So go through the statement. What we have to prove is f inverse of g is measurable. That is what we have proved. I am repeating once again. In the given theorem itself, that clearly mentioned f is measurable function. We have to prove f inverse of g is measurable. Before starting with the theorem, remember, if you have a function like x belongs to E and f of x belongs to AB, I can express this as f inverse of AB. Fine, this is the basic. And moreover, as per the first theorem, if any open set belongs to R, if there exists an open set in R, then I can express A as union of all the open intervals as per the first theorem. So as from that, since f is measurable, whatever the given data is there in the theorem, I have written that. C is f is measurable and G is open set in R. It is given in the theorem itself. So as per the first theorem, I can write G as union of all the open interval. I have assumed that open interval as AN and BN. Fine, now let me consider f inverse of g. I have replaced g with assumed open intervals and I can write the same as f inverse of g as union of f inverse of in. So just now I have told you, if you have a set like this, function like this, I can write this as f inverse of ab. So in the same way, I have written this as union n is equal to 1 to infinity f inverse of in. Clear? Now I have taken, since f inverse of in, I have written by using the definition of function, and again meaning is, if f of x belongs to in, since in I have assumed as a and bn, so this f of x will be definitely in between an and bn. So next I have splitted this function into two, so that intersection of f is measurable. It is already given in the problem or a theorem statement. So it is expressed as intersection of two measurable sets or measurable functions. Fine. So union of measurable, we have expressed f inverse of g as union of measurable functions or union of measurable set. Fine. So we can say that if it is expressed as union of measurable set, it is called as measurable set or measurable function. So we have assumed F is measurable and G is an open set in R, and we have arrived that we have proved that F inverse of J is measurable. Now we have to prove the reverse manner. In the sense, let me converse part I have to prove. Let me take conversely. Suppose that if a given condition holds, then consider in the sense, suppose that for every open set G in R, suppose G is an open set in R, then F inverse of G is measurable. I have assumed that F inverse of G is measurable. So we are proving the reverse. In the beginning, what we have assumed is F is measurable. What we have proved is F inverse of G is measurable. In the converse part, what I have assumed is F inverse of G is measurable. What I have to prove is F is measurable. Fine. So I have assumed that F inverse of G is measurable, and I have to show that F is measurable. Fine. Since I have already proved in the previous session that alpha infinity, open interval alpha infinity is in R, obviously alpha infinity is in R, then F inverse of alpha infinity is measurable. Right? Why? Because see here, in the first case, what we have proved is, suppose if F is open, then we have proved that, if F is measurable, we have proved F inverse of G is measurable, right? So in the same way, alpha infinity is measurable. We have proved this in the previous session, right? Alpha infinity is any open set. So if G is open set in R, F inverse of G is measurable, right? I'm repeating once again. Since G is an open set in R, what we have proved is F inverse of G is measurable. Clear? So alpha infinity is open set, right? So I have clearly written it as open interval. Anyhow, it is union of open set. G is also union of all the open intervals. So I can say this as open interval as well as open set, I can say. So if alpha infinity is an open in R, then I can say F inverse of alpha infinity is measurable as per the proof just now I have done. Fine. But I can express, let me prove here. I can express F inverse of alpha infinity, I can write it as x belongs, in terms of function I am writing, f of x belongs to open interval alpha infinity. We can write like this, right? I have already explained this. So I have just written that I have considered the open interval in R. So as per the first case, if we consider any open set in R, then F inverse of G is measurable. We have already proved. So what I have assumed is, I have assumed the open interval alpha infinity in R. So as per the previous case, we can write F inverse of alpha infinity is measurable. At the same time, we can express F inverse of alpha infinity as, in terms of function, we can write like this. Clear? Meaning of this is, suppose if you are going to consider a real number, here you are going to get minus infinity, alpha will be somewhere here, plus infinity will be here. So f of x, open interval meaning is, f of x will not include the value alpha. Why? Because it is open. So f of x will be definitely greater than alpha, right? It will take values, leaving this alpha, all the values it will going to take. So I can write this as f inverse of alpha infinity is equal to x belongs to E such that f of x greater than alpha. All these basic concepts I have explained in the previous video. You just go through that. So in the previous session, I have proved this as a measurable set. This is what the firstmost theorem I have proved in the concept of measurable function. So I have proved this as a measurable set. So I can write this as a measurable set as per the first theorem of measurable function. Therefore, what I can write, since f inverse of alpha comma infinity is a measurable set, that is f of x greater than alpha is measurable set. Meaning is f is measurable. F is measurable. Fine. I have already told you, when I can express f of x belongs to AB as f inverse of AB. Suppose if f of x belongs to AB is measurable, then I can clearly say f inverse of AB is measurable. In the same manner, I have expressed f inverse in terms of f of x. Further, this is measurable set, as I already proved this in a first theorem of a measurable function. So I can say f is measurable. So converse part is also true. So if f inverse of G is measurable, f is also measurable. Fine. This completes the proof. So you have to prove both converse and direct proof as well. Hope it is clear. And here is the next theorem, which is based on composition of a function. So you have already familiar about composition of function in second PU as well. So composition in the sense, if you have a function f from a set A to B, and set function g from like C to D, then its composition, B to C, say B to C, then its composition function of G. We can say this as function of G will be a function from A to C. right? So composition, fog of, they are example for composition of a function, and you're already familiar with that. Now what the statement says is we have to prove composition of continuous and measurable function is measurable. In the sense, if f and g is measurable, we have to prove fog is also measurable, or else it is important theorem, it is asked in 2018, or else if f is a function from R to R is continuous and g is a function from R to R is again continuous and measurable, then we have to prove fog, that is function of g, f of g from R to R is also measurable. This is what we have to prove. Coming to the proof, so let us consider any open set G. A proof is quite similar to the previous theorem. Let me consider any open set G. I'll just write in shortcut open set in R. So I have considered open set G in R. So I can write this in a standard function format, right? So in the beginning of the session I have told you, just go through that. So I can write this as x belongs to R such that g of x will be belonging to G. Fine. Now let me consider G as union of all the open intervals a n, b n. Fine. Then G inverse of G can be written as n is equal to 1 to infinity. Since I have taken G as union of open interval, I am just applying G inverse now. So I can write this as G inverse of a n, b n. From the previous step, I have applied G inverse on both sides, I can say. Fine. So meaning of this is G inverse of a n comma b n. In the previous theorem also I have proved, meaning of this can be written as x belongs to R such that g of x belongs to a n comma b n. Right? So when you have a function like x belongs to R, g of x belongs to a n comma b n, if you have something like this, I can write this as G union of, or else G of a comma b, right? G inverse of a comma b. At the beginning of the session I have taken f, right? So f of x belongs to a n b n. In the sense, I can write this as f inverse x is equal to f inverse of a n b n. So in the same way, here you have G inverse of a n b n. So when you have G inverse of a n b n, I can write this as g of x belongs to a n b n. So let me write one more statement. G inverse of g can be written as x belonging to a real number such that g of x belongs to a n comma b n, I can write. So all these steps are not mentioned in the notes. I am just explaining for your reference. Again, by the previous theorem I have already proved this. I have used the concept. So g of x belongs to a n b n, meaning is g will be in between a n and b n. So I can write this as union. I missed the union here. So let me write union n is equal to 1 to infinity x belongs to R such that g of x will be in between a n and b n, or else I'll just write in one step. If you want, you can refer the previous theorem so that you will understand very well. Intersection x belongs to R such that g of x less than b n. Why? Because as g belongs to a b, I'm just telling the generalized case, then I can write a less than g less than b. Right? So in the same manner I have applied the concept for this and I have splitted it into two sets. Fine. So I have expressed G inverse as intersection of two measurable sets. I can write this as countable union. So whenever you have infinity, I can say this as countable union of intersection of measurable sets. Why? Because in the theorem itself it is clearly mentioned G is measurable. So I have expressed G inverse as countable union of intersection of measurable sets. So I can say that G inverse of G is also measurable. Clear? I'll just repeat once again. What is the given data? F and G is measurable. Fine. We have to prove f of g is also measurable. Statement can be asked in any of these two forms. So you have to remember this. So what I have taken is I have chosen open set G from a set of real number so that I can write A as x belongs to, or A is any open set in R. So G can be expressed as union of all the open intervals as per the first theorem. So let me take G inverse on both sides for this statement. I have obtained this. So I have already told you the basics of function. So whenever you have a function expressed in this form, I can write this as f inverse of a n b n. So in the same format, but it is in the reverse order. So G inverse is given. I can write this in statement form like this. Fine. Further, I can split this as, since G belongs to A and B n, meaning is that G will be in between A and B, that is A n and B n. Fine. So I can write this as an less than g less than bn. So instead of writing all the steps, I have skipped and I have done all the steps in the first theorem. You just go through that. In this session only, in the first theorem, I have used this concept. So I can write that as g of x greater than an intersection g of x less than bn. So what I have expressed is g inverse as countable union of intersection of measurable function. G is measurable function. So countable union of intersection of measurable function. So it is measurable, right? So G inverse of G is also measurable. But what I have to prove is f of G is measurable, right? So now let me take any set B such that take an element different from x, that is let me take y, such that f of y greater than alpha for any alpha is the real number, any one of the real number. Now I have assumed the set B in this way. So let me consider G inverse of B. Suppose if you are going to consider G inverse of B, I can write this as x belongs to R such that G of x belongs to B. Right? Why? Because in G inverse of G, what is the element we have? X. So when I'm going to consider G inverse of B, I can write the element x in R such that G of x belongs to B, or else I can write this as, I am applying the composition concept here. So I can write, since G of x is an element in, G of x is an element of G inverse of G, right? So I am applying the composition here. So f of G of x is greater than alpha. Why? Here what I have done is, in place of y I have G of x, right? So I have defined a set B as f of y greater than alpha. So again G inverse of B is G of x belongs to B. So I have replaced y with G of x. So that is what I have obtained. Or else I can write the same as x belongs to R such that I can write this as f of G of x. This is what the meaning of fog, composition is. So f of G is none other than f of G of x. So I can write this as fog of x such that which is greater than alpha. Clear? Meaning is that whenever I have defined a set B in this manner, f of y will be in between alpha and infinity. Meaning is f of G of x is, whenever I have assumed this set in the sense B such that y is in R, f of y greater than alpha. Since I have defined this set and what I have arrived is fog is greater than alpha. Greater than alpha meaning is it will not include alpha but it goes up to infinity. So I can write f of y will be in between alpha and infinity. This implies that I can write this as f inverse of alpha infinity. Moreover, alpha infinity is an open set in R, which is continuous. In the theorem itself it is given that G is measurable, right? So if G is measurable, as per the properties of measurable set, what it says, G inverse is also measurable, right? G inverse is also measurable. Meaning is G inverse of any set B is measurable. So what I have taken B as f inverse of alpha infinity, right? So I can write x belongs to R such that fog of x is greater than alpha is also measurable. This set is measurable, right? In place of f we have fog. So we have already proved the statement, that is if any element x belongs to R, I am repeating once again, I have considered a set B as f inverse of alpha infinity. I have arrived this expression, and in the previous session itself I have proved that f of x greater than alpha is measurable. In place of f what we have, f of g is measurable. So what can I say? From this assumption I can say that f of g of x is also measurable. So that is what we have to prove. F of g, that is composition of f with respect to g, is measurable. Hope so it is clear. So further if you have any doubt, you are free to ask me. You just go through the theorem. Just a logic is there. Both the theorems are similar. So that is the reason I am doing the same concept theorem in one session. So one theorem follows the other. You have to just follow the logic. Please go through the video. Further if you have any queries, you can ask me. Thank you. Continue in the next session.